My beloved child, have you been ready to leave your comfort zone and step into the realm of miracles where I turn chaos into order within your very soul? From the beginning, when the universe had no shape and darkness covered the abyss, it was I who spoke and all things came into being. Transformation is my seal upon the work of creation, from chaos to order, from nothingness to abundance, from death to life. I do not stand still in inertia. I am always at work, always renewing, always bringing change so that all things may reflect my glory. Look at the sky each day. Light and darkness trade places. Seasons revolve, waters flow without ceasing, trees continually put forth growth. All these testify that my hand is doing the work of transformation every moment, and nothing can escape that rhythm. Listen, child, I tell you that my transformation is not some distant affair out in the vast cosmos. Only it reaches into your life, into every breath, every tear, every small joy. I do not only change the outward circumstances around you, I change the deepest places of your soul where you rarely let anyone touch. I take the broken pieces you hide away, the memories that shame you, the wounds you think will never heal, and I use those very things to weave a new story. For my power is not only in bringing forth what has never existed, but in making new what has been broken. I know that often you fear change because it calls you out of the familiar, because it asks you to leave your comfort. But beloved, remember this. My transformation is always woven with love, led by wisdom and sheltered by mercy. I do not transform you to make you lose. I transform you that you might be made whole. I do not change you to turn you into a stranger, but to restore you to the true self I placed within you from the beginning. Child, when I said, "Let there be light," darkness trembled and gave way. Likewise, when I speak over your life, the shadows in your heart will be pushed back and new light will shine in. When I say live, even ruined places become green pastures. When I touch you, the withered parts revive, old hopes blossom, and dreams thought dead rise again. That is my transforming power, a power none can resist, the same power that made the universe tremble, and now it is at work within you. Hear this, I never begin a work of transformation and abandon it halfway. I am the one who begins and the one who completes. When I sow a new seed in you, I will nurture it until it flowers and bears fruit. When I open a new door, no force can close it. When I lead you away from old pathways, it is because I am guiding you to a better course. Remember, transformation is not always loud or spectacular. Often it happens quietly, like yeast working through dough, like a seed germinating under the soil. You do not see it, yet I act. You do not feel it immediately, yet I am weaving the new. My beloved, the opening word I speak to you today is that transformation is neither accident nor chance, but part of my eternal plan. You were born to undergo transformation, to be led from darkness to light, from weakness to strength, from anxiety to peace, from brokenness to wholeness. The final purpose of this transformation is that you may be conformed to my image, reflect my nature, and live in union with me forever. So, child, open your heart. Let me do my work. Do not fear change. Do not cling to the old. Do not resist when I knock. For I am the transformer, and I transform only to give you abundant life, enduring hope, and a future full of glory. Step into this journey with faith, for I have gone before you. I walk with you now, and I will bring you to the fullness of the transformation I have ordained. Beloved, from the origin of all things I have revealed myself as the transformer. Before shape and form, before light and color, chaos was merely an undefined void. But in that emptiness I was present, and from that absolute stillness, my word rang out, "Let there be light." In that very instant, darkness yielded to dawn, and the world began its course of transformation. Consider this, no movement in creation began of its own accord. All things originate from my powerful decree. When I spoke, the heavens trembled, the earth took shape, and the seas swelled with waves. Every breeze, every drop of rain, every star in the sky bears the imprint of the transforming power I set in motion. My beloved child, do you see the cycle of nature? The sun rises and sets the seasons, the frost melts away to make room for tender shoots to break forth. Every rhythm is not random chance, but a testimony that creation itself lives within the movement of transformation. Without change, the field would remain barren, the river would become a stagnant pool, and the sky would never shift its colors. Transformation is the breath I have breathed into all things so that they may reflect my living presence. I speak to you that creation itself is a lesson for your soul. Just as the soil must be tilled to yield a harvest, so too must your soul be touched by me to become fertile. Just as the seed must die in the ground to sprout forth new life, so you too must let go of the old to receive the new from me. Just as rain falls from heaven, soaking into the earth and bringing renewal, so my word descends into your heart, turning dryness into springs of life. My child, I have placed into all creation an unchanging law. There is no life without transformation. The caterpillar must endure the darkness of its cocoon before it can soar as a butterfly. The grain of wheat must decay in order to bring forth a harvest. The moon wanes and waxes. The tide rises and falls. The winds blow forth and return again. All these are reflections of my wisdom, teaching you that transformation is the pathway to glory. When I created mankind, I breathed the breath of life into his nostrils, and he became a living soul. That was the greatest transformation of creation, from common dust to a being bearing my image. Yet my child, humanity has forgotten its origin and believes itself to be nothing more than fleeting flesh. Humanity fears change, clings to what is temporary, and resists my hand. Still, I do not cease from working. Like a potter who does not discard a vessel when it is cracked, I continue to shape, to mend, and to use even the fractures to reveal a beauty that is unique. I also declare to you that transformation in creation is not only the beginning, but an ongoing journey to this very day. Look to the heavens, where stars are still being born and fading, where galaxies are turning and expanding. All of creation is singing a song that my work never ceases. I am the one who began, and I am the one who will bring all to completion. The transformation of creation is a great masterpiece, and your soul is a small yet precious brushstroke upon it. My beloved child, when you see a seed sprouting from barren ground, you are beholding a picture of my power at work in your life. When you see the storm sweep through and yet dawn break forth again, it is an image I paint for you that trials are but temporary, while the life I give endures forever. Creation never ceases to change, and in the same way I am unceasingly renewing you day by day. I know there are times when you feel your life resembles a long winter cold, empty and bare. But my child, remember that even in the heart of winter, I have already prepared the seeds of spring. Just as the trees appear lifeless in the frost, yet hidden within the sap still flows, preparing for the day of blossoming, so too am I at work within you. Though you cannot see, I am nurturing seeds of hope, and in the appointed time they shall rise into fruitfulness. Child, let the transforming work you see in creation remind you that you were not made to stand still. You were made to grow, to move forward, to be changed into my likeness. You cannot cling forever to the old things, for they cannot contain the new I long to give. As new wine needs a fresh wineskin, so your soul must be enlarged and softened to receive the fullness I am about to pour in. Therefore, beloved child, look back at creation and learn its lesson. Let me do the work of transformation in you as I have done in the universe. Let your darkness melt before my light. Let the dry places within you become green gardens by the streams that come from me. Let your soul, once dust, receive my breath of life and become a being that reflects my glory. Child, I call you to step into that process without fear, for the transformation in creation never brings destruction but always ushers in new life. When you feel yourself breaking, remember that this is but a stage I am using to build something better. When familiar things vanish, remember I am opening a new chapter. And when darkness surrounds you, remember that I am the light drawing near. The transformation in creation is not only about the past, not only about nature, but it is an invitation to you today. Look at the flower, listen to the wind, observe the moonlight. Each one sings the same song, that the Creator still renews, still changes, still guides all things toward an eternal purpose. If even creation is being transformed, how much more will you, my beloved child, be changed by my hand? Child, I am the transformer, and the changes you see in creation are only the beginning of a greater transformation I will carry out in you. Trust, surrender, and let your soul align with the rhythm of the universe, that you may walk in the endless vitality I have prepared. Beloved one, from the first dawn of history I have entered the stream of time to accomplish the work of change. No generation, no nation, no era of humanity has escaped my hand. When I spoke life to Adam and Eve, I not only created life, but also inaugurated a journey of transformation for all humankind. Though humanity chose to distance itself from me to sin and bear its burdens, I never abandoned them. I moved through the pages of history using events and people to accomplish transformation, turning darkness into light, failure into opportunity, slavery into freedom. Child, look at the history of Israel. The people I chose, once slaves in Egypt, shackled and oppressed. I heard their cries and stretched out my sovereign hand to change their fate. I parted the Red Sea, led them across on dry ground, and buried their enemies in the waters. A despised people I lifted up to be a holy nation, a people without identity. I made the possession of the everlasting one. That is transformation in history, not to flaunt power, but to make the world know that I am the one true God who rules over all nations. Child, I also transformed leaders in ways no one expected. I chose Abraham, an old man without offspring, to be the father of many nations. I called Moses, slow of speech, to be the great deliverer. I set David, an ordinary shepherd boy, upon the throne to show that true transformation does not come from strength or talent, but from my choosing. Every kingdom and nation has witnessed my intervention, for I transform not only individuals, but whole peoples and lines of history. Child, I have used events that seemed tragic to reveal my transforming power. My people were exiled to Babylon and thought all was finished. The holy city lay in ruins, the temple destroyed, and they wept by the rivers of exile. Yet there I sowed my promises. I would bring them home, I would rebuild, and the glory to come would exceed what was before, and I fulfilled it. My people returned, rebuilt the temple, restored the city, and learned more deeply that transformation is not merely outward restoration, but an inward renewal of heart, so that they might trust me more than before. Child, remember that the pinnacle of transformation in human history came when I sent my only son into the world. That event shook the cosmos, the Word became flesh and lived among humanity. That transformation was not a philosophy, but a reality. I entered history to change the destiny of humankind. Through the cross, death was swallowed in victory. Through the resurrection, the empty tomb declared that darkness cannot conquer the light. From that moment, history itself is divided before Christ and after Christ. See, no event in history can compare with the transformation I accomplished through my Son. My child, know that transforming work is not confined to the past. I continue to renew history through every era. Mighty empires that seemed invincible have fallen while my kingdom endures. Movements of thought that once promised to reshape the world have faded, yet my word remains forever. I use the upheavals of history like a whirlwind that appears destructive, but in truth lifts people out of the dust and turns their faces toward me. Look, child, I do not only change great nations, I enter into the private story of each person and make history from the lives of the small and the overlooked. Consider Paul, who once persecuted my people and breathed hatred. When I touched him, his eyes were blinded and then opened, and from an enemy he became an apostle. History was transformed in an instant, because I changed a heart by the power of love. Look at Mary Magdalene, a woman once despised, whose life became a testimony to resurrection when she met me. Look at Peter, who denied me, yet later rose up to proclaim the truth with unshakable courage. All these show that the transformation of human history does not rest in human hands, but in mine. Beloved, history is not merely stacks of written pages or dates on a timeline. History is a painting I am creating, and every brushstroke, light or dark, serves the final masterpiece. There will be seasons of war and periods when humanity falls into chaos, but I never cease to be sovereign. Even in disorder, I sow seeds of life. Even in ruins, I rebuild. Even amid tears, I weave hope. Remember that the changes in human history are not meaningless cycles. They are a journey guided by my eternal purpose. All the alterations, the rises and falls of dynasties, the upheavals and the calms, all are moving toward the day when every knee will bow and every tongue will confess me as Lord. Until that day, I continue to transform, to write, and to steer history according to my perfect plan. Therefore, child, when you look upon history, do not see only failure or chaos. See my hand at work. See how I am transforming things to prepare for eternal glory. And know that you are also part of that history, a small but precious part. I am writing your name into this great story, and the transformation I work in you is part of the transformation I am accomplishing for all humankind. Beloved, I tell you that the greatest transformation is not the shaking of the cosmos or the milestones of human history, but the quiet change within each soul. From the beginning, I placed within human hearts a void that only I can fill. When the soul is estranged and the heart is closed, people seek all sorts of things to fill that invisible thirst, yet the more they seek, the emptier they feel. It is into that deep place that I come and begin. My work of transformation, unostentatious, not loud but persistent, and sure as a fire that never goes out. Listen to this. The change in your soul does not begin with your strength, but with my gentle touch. When you hear my call and leave even a small opening in the fortress walls of your heart, my light will penetrate and commence the work of renewal. I take a hardened heart and make it tender. I take a wounded heart and turn it into a wellspring of healing. I take thoughts distorted by hatred and despair and transform them into luminous streams of hope and peace. Child, I see clearly the walls you have built. You have hidden pain, concealed regret, and covered wounds with a smiling mask. But I, the one who searches hearts, do not stop at appearances. I step behind the curtain and touch the deepest places within you. I am not afraid of your wounds nor repulsed by what you consider unclean. It is there that I begin the transformation. I cleanse with love, heal with mercy, and rebuild with compassion. And when I have done this, no one can deny my transforming power. Know that the transformation of the soul is not a single decisive event, but a journey. There will be days when you walk strong and full of hope, and there will be days when you are weak, stumble, and even want to give up. I say to you, do not lose heart, for the journey of transformation is not measured by instant perfection, but by every step forward, by every time you return to me after stumbling. Each return renews you a little more. Each choice to trust rather than fear makes you new. In this way, your soul gradually reflects my image. Child, I also make your inner being more attuned to my presence. As you allow me to transform you, your eyes will perceive what you once did not see. Your ears will hear the whispers of my spirit, and your heart will be moved by what moves me. You will perceive others' pain and respond with compassion. You will see loneliness and reach out a hand. You will cease living only for yourself and begin living to reflect my love. This is the evidence of a transformed soul, not withdrawn in selfishness, but open to receive and to give. I also say that the transformation in your soul will be revealed by a peace that no circumstance can steal. The world may tremble, you may pass through storms, yet within you there will be a calm stream that never runs dry. That is my presence in your soul. You may suffer loss and face trials, but you will stand firm because your root is planted deep in me. Many will be surprised to see you praise and trust amid suffering, yet you know that this is not your own strength but the mark of the transformation I am working. Child, the soul's transformation is also a daily renewal. I do not only change great things, I refine the small details within you. I teach you patience when you are quick to anger. I teach you forgiveness when you long for revenge. I teach you silence when you want to argue, and I teach you to speak words of life when you want to remain quiet. Those small things, when combined, become a revolution in the soul. One day you will look back and recognize that you are no longer the person you once were. My beloved child, do not be surprised when I use even your trials to transform your heart. You may think suffering only brings loss, yet I tell you, it is an instrument in my hand. Suffering strips away the shell of pride. Trials exercise faith, and hardship deepens love. When you walk through the fire, I do not abandon you, I walk with you. And it is precisely in that fire that what is worthless is burned away, so that only refined gold remains. The change within your soul, therefore, is not mere outward adornment, but an inward refining. Beloved, I want you to understand that this transformation is not only for your blessing, but that you may become a blessing to others. A soul that has been transformed becomes a conduit of life. When you are healed, you will bring healing to others. When you are forgiven, you will know how to forgive. When you are comforted, you will know how to comfort. Like a vessel once cracked and mended by me, you will stand as testimony that my love is great enough to cover every brokenness. Remember that I am patient. I am not hurried, nor do I force you beyond what you can bear. I transform you through seasons and steps, so you may grow within my love. Walk in humility and trust my process, for I know exactly when to prune, when to tend, and when to lift. I never cease my work, and I will never abandon the work I have begun in you. Open your heart and invite me to continue my work of change. Do not fear when I touch the places you would hide. Do not be anxious when I call you out of old routines. Do not shrink back when I shine light into the darkness within you. For I am the transformer, and I do all things, so you may be made whole, that your soul may reflect my eternal glory. Beloved, I tell you that no deep transformation is formed apart from the path of suffering and testing. Since humankind fell, this world has borne the marks of brokenness, loss, and tears. Yet even within those pains, I am at work turning what seemed an ending into the beginning of a new journey. Sorrow is not rejection, and testing is not abandonment. They are the furnace I allow, so that from the fire you may be refined as pure gold. I know your greatest fear is to endure pain. You tremble at loss. You worry when you must walk uncertain roads, and you cry when burdens exceed what you thought you could bear. But I say, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in your weakness. Trials do not come to crush you, but to remove superfluous layers, so you may learn where you truly depend. When you think you are breaking in truth, I am removing what hinders true life. When you believe darkness swallows you in truth, I am kindling a steadfast flame that only reveals itself in the dark. Remember Job, the righteous man who endured utter loss. He lost property, children, health, and even seemed to lose hope. Yet through that trial I revealed to him a depth of me he had not known before. He said, I had heard of you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eye sees you. You see, it is in suffering that your soul is open to know me more intimately. Testing does not steal faith, but roots it deeper and makes it steadfast, unmoved by circumstance. Beloved, the transformation through sorrow is also the transformation of trust. In seasons of ease you may praise and offer thanks, but when darkness surrounds you, when prayers seem unanswered and doors are shut, yet you choose to trust and to praise, their faith becomes real. And when faith is tested, it is no longer fragile like dry grass, but becomes firm as bedrock. You will discover that your strength does not lie in escaping suffering, but in remaining steadfast amid it, because I am with you. My child, I also use trials to reveal love in its deepest measure. Many times you have thought that love is present only when everything is calm, when blessings flow and anxiety is absent. Yet I tell you that my love shines most brightly when you are in the darkness. When you weep, I wipe away your tears. When you stumble, I lift you to your feet. When you are weary, I carry you in my arms. Remember that my love does not vanish in sorrow. Rather, it becomes more plainly manifest in those moments that seem hopeless. My child, the transformation wrought through trial does not benefit you alone, but is meant to make you a testimony to others. When they see you standing firm amid the storm, they will recognize a supernatural strength sustaining you. When they witness you forgiving instead of nursing resentment, loving instead of hating, hoping instead of despairing, they will know that it is not you alone, but I working within you. Thus trial makes you a lamp of light, so others may be drawn near to me. My child, I want you to understand that sorrow does not have the final authority over your life. The cross once stood as a symbol of defeat, shame, and death. Yet there I transformed it into a sign of victory and everlasting life. If I can change the cross into a throne of glory, I can likewise turn every grief of yours into an opportunity to display my glory. What the enemy meant to destroy you, I will make into an instrument to strengthen you. What the world declares to be the end, I will use to write a new, more radiant chapter. Beloved, look upon your own life. You have endured trials you thought you could not survive. You have faced days when each breath felt like carrying a stone and nights that stretched without end, yet now you stand as living proof that I never abandoned you. If I kept you through the past, I will do so in the present and the future. You need not know every answer, You only need to know that I am with you. My child, let trial be a furnace for refining, not a pit of despair. Let your tears become seeds, not final stops. Let your sufferings become songs, not only cries of complaint. For I tell you that all things work together for good for those who love me, for those who are called according to my purpose. Transformation through suffering is never meaningless. It is woven with eternal purpose. Therefore, my child, when you walk through trials, do not ask, "Why is this happening to me?" But rather ask, "Lord, what do you want to teach me through this test?" For in every pain, in every tear, I am sowing precious lessons to prepare you for coming days of glory. I do not allow any suffering to occur without carrying within it the seed of transformation. In my appointed time, that seed will sprout, blossom, and bear abundant fruit in your life. My child, I declare that one day every sorrow will pass, every trial will cease, and you will see the full work I have accomplished. Then you will understand that every pain trained you, every trial strengthened your faith, and every tear became a jewel upon the crown of glory. Until that day, be steadfast, for I am the one who walks with you through every step of the testing, and it is I who will transform you, thereby shaping you into the likeness of my Son and preparing you for eternal life. My beloved, I tell you that one of the greatest miracles of transformation is forgiveness and mercy. From the moment humanity fell, when Adam and Eve hid from me in the garden, ashamed under the weight of sin, I did not abandon them. I drew near, called their names, and though judgment was due, I clothed them in garments of skin to cover their nakedness. That was the first picture of mercy, showing that I do not only administer justice, but also grant grace to open a way of transformation. Forgiveness and mercy are the heartbeat of my heart and the path by which human souls are renewed. My child, I know that sin presses upon your soul like a burden you cannot cast off. You strive to make amends, to hide, to excuse yourself, yet the more you try, the more powerless you feel. No effort of your own can erase the stain of sin, but in that very place of despair, my mercy reaches out. I do not require you to pay with your own blood, for the blood of my Son was shed on the cross as the ransom for eternal life. The forgiveness I give is not a temporary reprieve, but the cancellation of debt forever. When I forgive, I no longer remember your sin. I cast it into the depths of forgetfulness. Transformation begins the moment you believe and receive that grace of pardon. My child, forgiveness does not merely change your relationship with me, it changes your inner being. When you are forgiven, shame is no longer the chain that binds you, and sin is no longer the haunting sentence. You no longer live in fear that I will punish you, but you may lift your head as a beloved child. Forgiveness opens the door to true freedom, not freedom to do as you please, but freedom to live as I intended you to live. From that place you begin the journey of transformation, from a slave to sin to a child made free in grace. My child, I also tell you that my mercy does not only touch the sins you have committed, but it heals the wounds others have inflicted upon your life. I see clearly the times you were betrayed, the words that caused your heart to bleed, the unjust actions that left you exhausted. Those wounds can make you bitter, shut you away, and carry burdens you cannot forgive. But my child, when you allow me to pour mercy into your heart, I will transform the very way you see others. Instead of seeing them as enemies, you will see them as souls in need of mercy. And it is when you learn to forgive that your soul is set free. The forgiveness you extend to others is not because they deserve it, but because you have received far more from me. Remember, child, that forgiveness does not erase justice, but forgiveness paves the way for healing. If you cling to bitterness, you will be the one imprisoned by it. Yet when you hand it over to me, I will turn that bitterness into refreshing streams and turn hatred into peace. The forgiveness you give away does not diminish your worth. It raises you up to be like me, the one who forgives without condition. This is one of the deepest transformations, from a heart of hatred into a heart that knows how to love. My mercy is also the means by which I transform humanity from generation to generation. Were I to act only with harsh righteousness, none could stand before me. But I am slow to anger, rich in love, and overflowing in grace. It is my mercy that keeps this world in being. Each morning you awaken is proof that my mercy is still new. Every breath you draw is a reminder that my grace still covers you. And every time you fall and are lifted up again, it is evidence that my love never lets go. Beloved child, I want you to understand that forgiveness and mercy are not merely gifts I give, but tools I use to change the world through you. When you live in forgiveness, you break the cycle of violence and revenge. When you live in mercy, you sow seeds of hope and peace. The world may call forgiveness weakness, but I say forgiveness is strength. The world may consider mercy a loss, but I declare mercy to be true victory. Reflect upon my Son on the cross. In the very midst of unbearable pain, he uttered, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." That is the summit of transformation through forgiveness and mercy. The wood that was once an instrument of execution became the gateway to eternal life. Death, the final enemy, was turned into the means of giving life. If forgiveness and mercy could transform the cross into a throne of glory, then they can also transform your life and every relationship you hold. Open your heart, child, and let my forgiveness and mercy wash away every burden within you. Let the accusing voices in your mind fall silent before my pronouncement, "You are forgiven." Let my mercy seep into your dry and barren places, so you will know that no wound is too deep, no sin too great for my love. And let your life itself become a living testimony that true transformation happens only when you are wrapped in my forgiveness and mercy. Beloved child, I tell you that transformation does not happen only in a warm dawn, but also in the deepest night. I am the one who made both light and darkness. I cause the sun to rise, and I cause it to set, so you may understand that life is not only days of brightness, but also seasons of shadow. Yet, child, it is precisely within that contrast that true transformation is most fully revealed. Light is never precious until you have walked through darkness, and darkness is never absolute, for within it lies the seed of a new dawn. I know, child, that there are long nights in your life when it seems the light has gone. You pray and hear no answer. You seek and seem not to find me. Your heart trembles, your mind doubts, and your tears fall without ceasing. But my child, it is in those very nights that I am doing my deepest work. Darkness is not my absence, but the veil by which I teach you to listen with the ears of faith rather than with the eyes of the flesh. When you see nothing, you learn to trust. When you feel nothing, you learn to hope. And that very faith becomes the flame that lights your steps through the night. Child, I transform you through light, for my light reveals the way and exposes truth. When my light shines upon you, every falsehood is uncovered, and every concealment is laid bare. The light makes you face hidden corners of your heart that you would rather avoid, but it also reveals my glory that you have not yet known. My light not only guides, it heals, warms, and nourishes. Just as the sun causes a seed to sprout, my light brings your soul back to life. My child, I also transform you through the darkness. For in the dark you learn humility. You come to know that you cannot chart your course alone and that you need my hand. You learn to hear my whisper, because in the dark all other noises fall silent. You learn patience for the night, trains you to wait for the dawn, and when the dawn comes you will cherish it all the more because you once yearned for it in the night. Do you remember Jonah in the belly of the great fish? The darkness was thick without escape, seeming like a grave. Yet it was there that I reshaped his heart. From a fugitive he became obedient. Darkness does not destroy but molds. Likewise, David wrote, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." See, darkness cannot obscure my presence. Even in the blackest place I am there, and my presence is the lamp that turns every fear into peace. Child, transformation through light and darkness is also spiritual training. Light teaches you to praise, while darkness teaches you to trust. Light displays my grace, darkness reveals my strength. Light shows you what I give, darkness shows you that I alone are enough. Both are necessary, each completing the other, so that you may become whole in me. Do not refuse the light, but do not resent the darkness either, for both are instruments I use to make you grow. Remember the cross. At midday, darkness covered the land, and men thought the light had been extinguished, that victory belonged to the dark. But 3 days later, the dawn of the resurrection burst forth, shattering the night and bringing eternal life. That is the clearest proof that darkness is not the end, but the night that prepares a greater light. Just so in your life, every night is a stepping stone toward a glorious dawn. My beloved, when you are in the light, rejoice and praise. But when you step into darkness, remember that I am still there. Let both light and darkness do their work, one to guide your path, the other to deepen your faith. Know that in the end I will lead you out of every darkness into the everlasting light, where there will be no night, no tears, no fear. Until that day, be steadfast, for I am your light, and I am the one who walks with you in every darkness. My beloved, I tell you that my transformation never stops within your inner life, but always leads you onward to a new step, calling and sending. For I do not change you merely to make you whole, peaceful, and complete. I transform you to become an instrument in my hand, to be sent out to accomplish eternal purposes. You were not made simply to exist, but to carry light, to reflect glory, to become living testimony that I am the living one. Remember that calling is not a burden, but a privilege. When I called Abraham to leave his homeland, I did not promise him an easy road, but I promised descendants like the stars of the sky and the sand on the seashore. When I called Moses, he trembled and hesitated, yet I transformed him from a shepherd in the wilderness into the deliverer of my people. When I called Jeremiah, he said he was young and could not speak, but I placed my words in his mouth to sound a cry for a nation. And child, I am calling you today. My call never comes from your perfection, but from my choice. I often choose the weak to shame the strong, the lowly to humble the proud, the seemingly worthless to display eternal worth, because when I send, none can boast of their own effort. It is all through my transforming power. You once trembled, but I change you into courage. You once thought yourself unworthy, but I transform you to bear my name. You once lived for yourself, but I transform you to live for a purpose greater than yourself. Child, sending always accompanies transformation. You cannot carry my message unless I have touched you. You cannot testify to love unless you have been loved. You cannot preach forgiveness unless you have been forgiven. The change in your life becomes the foundation of the call. Every healed wound becomes testimony, every fall and rise becomes proof. Every tear I wipe away becomes a song you will sing in the world. The sending is not confined to the pulpit or to missions. It may be in your family, where I call you to be light among those closest to you. It may be in your workplace, where you bring integrity and compassion as witness. It may be in ordinary encounters, where a comforting word, an embrace, a shared empathy become the tools I use to touch another soul. Each day you live in obedience, you are walking in my sending. Hear now, my child. I also want you to know that calling and sending are not always easy. They demand that you surrender, demand that you offer yourself, demand that you trust me more than your own plans. Sometimes I will call you to places unfamiliar to you, to speak words you are afraid to speak, to love people whom your natural heart cannot love. Yet, my child, it is precisely through those hardships that I will transform you. I will give you strength to go, words to speak, and love to love with. And when you obey, you will discover that the calling is not a burden, but the path that leads you to your deepest satisfaction. Look, my child, at my disciples. Once they were mere fishermen, despised tax collectors, ordinary people no one expected much from. But when I called and sent them, they became apostles who shook the world, not by superior learning, not by social standing, but by the transforming power of my Holy Spirit. And beloved, I am doing the same in this age. If you hear the call and you answer, I will transform you from an ordinary person into a messenger of heaven. Beloved, calling and sending are not the safe route, but they are the sure one. They are sure because I go with you. They are sure because my promises never change. They are sure because every trial and every opposition only makes my light in you shine more brilliantly. And the reward for obedience is not only in this life, but also beyond, when you will hear me say, "Well done, faithful and true servant. Enter into the joy of your master." Therefore, my child, do not fear the call. Do not shrink back from being sent. Do not think you are not ready, for I do not call those who are already ready. I call to transform them. Walk in trust, because with every step you take, I will make a way. Speak the words I place in your mouth, for they shall not return void. Love as I have loved you, for that love is the power to change the world. Beloved, hear me. The transformation I perform never stops at the individual. From the beginning I made humankind not to live in isolation but to live in community. When I formed Adam, I said, "It is not good for man to be alone," and I made Eve as a companion. From that moment a principle was set. Life and transformation are most fully expressed when people walk in unity, when they are joined together under my love and leadership. My child, I do not merely change a single soul, I transform a people. Israel bears witness from oppressed slaves. I made them into a nation with identity law and my presence among them in the ark and the tabernacle. I led them through the Red Sea, the wilderness, and across the Jordan, so that they would become a community reflecting my holiness and glory. Each person was transformed, yet it was through communal unity that they truly came to know me more fully. When my one came into the world, he did not choose solitude. He called the 12, taught them, trained them, lived with them, wept with them, rejoiced with them, and sent them. The first church was born out of that very community. From the day of Pentecost, when my Spirit descended, thousands were transformed together. They were united in prayer, in breaking bread, in sharing possessions, and I added to their number daily those who were being saved. Do you see, transformation is not an isolated journey, but a river flowing through many, refreshing and bearing fruit as its branches join together. Beloved child, in community, you learn things you could never learn alone. You learn patience as you endure one another. You learn humility as you realize you are not always right. You learn love as you accept differences. You learn sacrifice as you put others' needs above your own. It is in the collisions and in the differences that I work transformation. As iron sharpens iron, one person sharpens another. As fire tests gold, community tests your heart. The result is a refined, strong body united in me. My church is a body and you are a member. No part exists for itself alone, but all are joined into one body whose head is my Son. When one member suffers, the whole body suffers. When one member is honored, the whole body rejoices. This is the mystery. I use the church as an instrument to nourish, to shape, to heal, and to send forth. Alone you cannot fully reflect my image, but when you join with brothers and sisters, the whole picture emerges. I know, my child, that sometimes the church is imperfect, for it is formed of weak, stumbling people. Yet it is within that very imperfection that my grace is displayed more clearly. I did not create the church to showcase human perfection, but to display the power of transformation. When imperfect people unite in my love, that is the greatest miracle. When those once divided now sit at the same table, when former enemies pray together, these are compelling proofs that I am at work transforming through community. Child, in community, I teach you that transformation is not only for your own benefit, but so you may serve others. The gifts you receive are not to be hoarded, but to build up the body. The testimony you have is not to be hidden, but to encourage the brothers. The love I pour into your heart is not meant to stop with you, but to spread abroad. When you give, you are enriched. When you lift others, you are lifted. When you build the community, you yourself are built. This is the principle of the kingdom. Individual transformation reaches its fullness within collective transformation. Beloved, I tell you that the church is not merely a place, but a people called out from the world, transformed to be light and salt to the earth. When the church is united, when my community lives in love, the world will recognize me. Preaching may be rejected, arguments may be contested, but love expressed in community cannot be denied. That is the most powerful witness to transformation. So, my child, do not leave the community, do not despise the church. For there the change I work in you is nurtured and multiplied. Commit yourself, love, serve, and forgive. Let your life be woven into the lives of brothers and sisters, so together you become a community, reflecting the kingdom of heaven amid the world. Beloved, I speak to you now all the transformations I have worked in you, from small daily steps to great refining trials, from forgiveness and mercy, from light and darkness, from calling and sending, from community and church. These all point to one ultimate destination, preparing you for eternity. For the life in this world is but a fleeting breath, a temporary tent. Eternal life is your true dwelling, where you shall rest in me forever. The transformation I am performing is the luggage, the process of preparation that will carry you into that undying glory. Hearken, my child, know that every trial you endure, every tear you shed, every joy you taste, all are part of the refining work upon your soul. I do not let any of your experiences pass in vain. Every sorrow I turn into perseverance. Every victory I turn into gratitude. Every failure I turn into a lesson. Together these weave the new person who will be worthy of the eternal realm. You may feel you are living a transient life, but I speak to you in every moment. I am preparing you for the life to come. My child, remember that your present body is only temporary. It is weak, prone to sickness, easily weary. Yet I am preparing for you a glorious body, incorruptible, unfading, no longer subject to the decay of this world. I transform this perishable body into an imperishable one. I change the limits of human existence into freedom and glory. And when the last trumpet sounds, you will be clothed with immortality and will enter everlasting life where there is no more death, no more weeping, no more pain. This is the goal of transformation, not merely that you should live better now, but that you should live forever in my kingdom. Beloved, I am also transforming your mind to prepare you for eternity. Old, limited, selfish ways of thinking cannot remain in the eternal order. Therefore, I use my word to renew your mind, that you may learn to think according to truth and see all things in the light of the kingdom. I teach you to love instead of to hate, to be humble rather than proud, to hope rather than despair. Step by step, I am shaping you into the likeness of my Son, so that when you enter into glory, you will not be estranged but fully at home in the eternal nature of my realm. Child, the preparation for eternity also comes through seasons of waiting. I know you have often been impatient to see results, to have your prayers answered at once, to have everything made clear. But my child, waiting is part of transformation. When you learn patience, your soul is enlarged. When you learn to trust, your faith takes root more deeply. And as you learn to place your hope in me, you practice living for an eternal life where time no longer binds and all things rest in my hands. I also use the church to prepare you for eternity. In community, you learn forgiveness, love service, and sacrificial giving qualities that will be perfectly revealed in the life to come. The church is not merely a temporary place of worship, but a rehearsal for the eternal worship in heaven. Every song sung, every prayer offered, every loving deed you give to another echoes into eternity and becomes a living stone building my imperishable temple. Beloved, remember that this transformation toward eternity includes opening your eyes to see that you are only a pilgrim on this earth. Your true home is not here, but where I dwell. So do not cling too tightly to passing things. Do not let your heart be glued to wealth, fame, or fleeting pleasures. All these will pass away. But love, faith, and hope in me will remain forever. When you live aware of your citizenship in the kingdom, you will walk lighter, freer, and with greater joy, because you know that the present is only preparation for a far greater glory that is coming. My child, I tell you that one day you will see with your own eyes what you now see only by faith. You will see me face to face, hear my voice without veil, and feel my love unbound by a finite body. And then you will fully understand that every transformation I worked in you through trial, through darkness, through forgiveness, through community, led to that moment, the moment you are wholly united with my presence, forever, never separated. Therefore, my child, be steadfast and persevere. Let your heart be fastened to the hope of eternity, so that though storms rise, you will not be shaken. Know that I am preparing you day by day, hour by hour, for a glory beyond all imagination. Rejoice, for transformation is not only a journey, but a sure promise that one day you will be wholly changed to be like my Son and will reign with me throughout the ages. My beloved child, this is my final word in this journey. Transformation is the scarlet thread that weaves through every part of your life, and it always points toward eternity. Do not be afraid, do not retreat, and do not lose hope. For I am the beginning, and I am the end. I transform so that you may be prepared. I prepare so that you may share in glory, and I will keep you until the day you step into the fullness of my kingdom. May the word of the Lord continually remind you to live each day in His faith and His love. Press the follow button and turn on notifications so that you will not miss the sacred and meaningful messages He longs to speak to you. May the Lord bless you abundantly. Amen.